I'm Van.
I'm Sori.
That's Booby.
And Colby and Chip.
How did it feel to take all those L's? You were all hard before. Now you took an L. You want to be soft. You know who you are. All right, let's go. My penny's on 59,000.
I see that.
But hey,
We're just gonna let you do what you're gonna do.
this is, hey, it is what it is.
All right.
What is this? Toto, Africa?
Mm-hmm.
Toto, Africa, ladies and gentlemen, for the main stage. If you want to check out timely topical political commentary, you can hit us up at Middle America with Vin and Sori. Mm-hmm. We just cut a new video. Should be very interesting.
Yes, we did.
We're gonna invest some time and dinero into that other channel because there's a lot of potential there.
If you want to see behind the scenes with our family, then check out My Sori Life.
Yep. Also, speaking of which, for you Cradle of Filth fans, the big homie Lenza Schoolcraft actually has a YouTube channel now. She's been talking about it. She's been flirting with it for a while, and it's
now happening.
It's happening. She's got a cover of Björk with some of the guys, some Navel Viscaris. It's behind the scenes stuff. It's really, really cool stuff. So
you should definitely check it out.
Obviously, a friend of the channel. Lindsay did a crazy long interview with us when we were nothing.
Yes.
We had like 2,000 subs or something like that.
Yeah.
Like we were a nothing
channel. She was fun too. She,
Yeah.
She was like real.
And a lot of people, we were late for that interview, and she adjusted her schedule. I don't even think
I remember that.
So
sorry about that.
Super, super important friend of the channel, and we're going to be seeing her on Monday, inshallah. So Lindsay's freaking Schoolcraft, ladies and gentlemen. Check her out, support her channel, subscribe. If you don't subscribe, then you're fired. So you don't want to be fired, do you?
If you're on the Patreon tier, you know which tier you are. That you have interview questions that you can ask. You can message me those questions through Patreon, and if we get a chance to ask her those questions, we will do that.
Oh, when we see her, because she's coming to town this Monday. Okay, yeah. Okay, this is Toto, Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Should be interesting.
That's a really good one. Honey, I've been searching for months for a necklace for you. Like this. But I looked up necklace, not pendant. Pendant brought up some way cooler things.
I was never taught I was a slave. See, that was the problem. Mama said I was a prince. To see the vodka not and been a soldier ever
so good in an African necklace.
Yeah!
This song, I really loved this one. You know what? It was very relaxing.
Really?
Yeah, and happy and fun, and although...
What?
No, I guess she's not leaving. Well, she's gone.
Coming.
She's coming back.
She's coming in, 12:30 flight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's in Africa for some reason, and his girl is going to meet him.
Oh,
See
she's
what I'm saying?
going to Africa.
He's there already.
Oh.
And then, you know...
I see. I hear the drums echoing tonight, but she hears only whispers of some quiet conversation.
I forgot the name of the...
Oh.
There was like a very old African series of tales that were like proverbial.
Yeah.
That my mom, she got me this book. I forgot the name of them, but they were really cool. I love my mom for like hitting me with that Pan-African stuff, man. Mm-hmm. Having me read Marcus Garvey when I was a kid and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. You know, that's how I ended up listening to Umar Johnson, because he's trying to like position himself as the heir apparent to Marcus Garvey. Mm-hmm. But you know, he's a terrible whatever. But the song, you know, I'm eventually gonna take a trip to Africa. Once we do that ancestor thing, I figure out like exactly where in Africa I'm descended from. Like that's gonna be.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That's gonna be cool. That's gonna be cool. So like, you know, it brought back a lot of memories of like being in my room in Florida reading Roots.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and what's cool about Roots is like the first 100, maybe even 200 pages. It's not him immediately going off into slavery.
Yeah,
like it's you follow him and you get so drenched and entranced by the culture and everything that's going on, and their rituals, and you know there's things that he has to do and everything, and just regular, you know, the monotony of life over there in Africa before everything happened over there. So yeah, and there's so much to African history that, that's Africa. People have no idea how large Africa actually is.
I mean,
like it's a supercontinent. It's huge, huge. So you know,
I know that it's big.
Cool.
It encompasses more places than I realize because I'm not like a geography expert.
You know, it's really interesting because when I hear, you know, these Nordic bands doing, you know, deep diving into their culture and stuff, I always love it. I always celebrate it because that's important. Mm-hmm. And there's not enough brothers in the metal scene to do that I know of anyway. To do a kind of like celebration of African culture before everything went crazy for us. See what I'm saying? Yeah. So a lot of kids have, you know, an inferiority complex because all they know about black people is that we've been slaves. They don't know anything about culture building in Timbuktu and things like that. So, but anyway, obviously this song isn't about that. These are white folks talking about how awesome Africa is.
Good for them.
Good for them, you know. I'm sure they know. That's why they were there and raped the land. What?
Well, I don't think that's the people that are singing about this. I don't know these song
people.
Is.
I don't know these people, but yeah, I mean, he might just be a tourist, or maybe you know he's on. I mean, he's a rock star, so maybe he had to go on tour and you know his girl. You know, he landed in Africa and then he had to scoop his girl up. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. He says he blesses the rains.
Yeah, I bless the rains down in there. There must be a lot of really beautiful moments in Africa. Like, that land must be crazy. And, like, you're seeing, you know, very close to the cradle of civilization over there in Mesopotamia and all that. So it must be pretty...
The animals that you would see. Yeah,
it must be pretty crazy to see... I was watching one time about, like, it was called, like, This is Africa. It's like a Facebook thing. It was just showing, like, just like the grandeur of Africa and how industrialized they were, and it's like it's not just feed the children, you know what I mean? Like all you see about Africa is just feed the children. So I love this song. Like they're celebrating Africa, and it's a crazy that like the music is amazing. Like
beautiful.
Yeah, it's like it makes you like it does make you want to like go to Africa. Like shoot, I want to go to Africa, see what's going on there. Shoot, it made me buy a pendant. What?
Did you say maybe buy a pendant?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah. I hear drums echoing tonight, but she only hears whispers of some quiet conversation.
Yeah, because she's on the flight, you said. So
right.
She's hearing the people chatting, but he's hearing the drums.
The moonlight wings reflect the stars that guide me towards salvation. I stopped an old man along the way. I'm assuming that's the airport? Like going to meet her?
Oh, probably.
You know what I'm saying? Hoping to find some old forgotten words or ancient melodies. So he stops the old man and he turns to him and says, "Hurry, boy, it's waiting there for you. Go." You know, like the old sage, you know, the old wise man and all that. Like that's part of like those types of cultures, you know, not just African cultures, but there's a lot of. It's really weird about American culture how we don't really value the elderly.
No.
We don't value.
It's only a matter of time. Where we go after them too, like go after our babies.
Well, yeah, I heard. Did I tell you about that?
What?
I was talking to somebody about like abortion or something, and then they were like, yeah, I mean the planet's overpopulating, and the guy, and he was dead serious. He's like, well, babies are old people. People are gonna have to die.
Was that conversation you were having, and he was talking about his grandparents? Yeah, kill them.
Kill them. No.
That
was another guy. Yeah, but. So we don't value the elderly for whatever reason in this culture, and I haven't really sat back and thought that through as to why. But you know, there's a whole bunch of other civilizations where like the elderly like are almost deified because.
Well, the thing is, in other cultures, I'm not speaking for all cultures. I'm just saying we have Google. So if you need any information, you go to Google, and Google's going to give you a lot more information than Pepe's going to give you because it has so much. But like back in like, you know, when you read about the tribes and stuff like that, like they didn't have Google. If you needed some information, you went to the elderly because they had that information for you.
Yeah, but we've been like that since way before Google, though. It's not like Americans highly valued the wisdom of the age, and then
that's true.
We ran into Google, and we don't need you anymore.
Yeah.
Like.
Well, it certainly doesn't help.
But it is that silly though. Like they didn't even. I've heard people say they didn't even have iPhones. It's like okay. And you know I get it. Like if you want to put together like build a car from scratch or something. Yeah, you're gonna go to Google, or you're not necessarily gonna go to an old person. But they can't. And Google can't tell you how to love your wife or how to deal with a crazy teenager or whatever. Like those are not, the wisdom that the elderly had, that older people had, like the sage. Like that's the thing is like America doesn't have sage as a societal category. And I think that's when I listen to a lot of Pan-Africanists or conscious woke people talk, they talk a lot about the ancestors and things like that, which I love that because I'm so disconnected from my ancestors. Now, I don't pray and worship them, which is,
right.
It's very in vogue now to call on the ancestors and pray to them and blah, 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 and I'm only going to call on Jesus, right? But so obviously in my opinion it swung a little bit too far, but the wisdom of the sages and honoring your ancestors and things like that, like that's completely, and especially it's really crazy in the black community, it's even worse. So like, in your guy, I hear Pepe this, grandma, grandpa, blah, 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 and like they're not necessarily looked upon as sages, but like that's a whole category of being. Whereas with us, we're disconnected from our fathers, much less our grandparents. You see what I'm saying? And so, like, there's no, especially in our culture, there's no, like, real premium on the wisdom of the aged at all. Because,
and honestly, if I was Catholic, my Pepe would pour so much of that into me.
Right.
I'm just not that religion, so.
Right. Right. If you were a Roman Catholic, though, he would. Oh,
yeah, he would give me all the knowledge and books I wanted,
Yeah. So, it's a really when I read that line, I was like, whoa, dude, that's crazy. I stopped an old man along the way, hoping to find some old forgotten words or ancient melodies. Like, the elderly really have that, you know?
Yeah.
And part of me, like, I wish...
You know what's funny? Because I didn't see it like that when I heard that part.
What do you mean?
Okay, I stopped an old man along the way, hoping to find some old forgotten words of ancient melodies. Okay, so you were, the beginning part was there. He turned to me as if to say, hurry, boy, it's waiting there for you. Like, you know how people say, youth is wasted on the wrong people and stuff like that. Like, I thought it was just like, he was looking like, go find her at the plane.
Well, I think he was saying that. Yeah, that's what he was saying. He's trying to find some wisdom or whatever.
What does he want wisdom about?
Well, forgotten words or ancient melodies, just something. And then the old guy is saying, look, all you need right now is to go get her, because I'm assuming that the deeper meaning is all the ancient wisdom or whatever that you need, you'll find in the relationship if you guys, stay together for a while. Mm-hmm. Which we've discovered that, with the being in a relationship kind of, it's not the source of the wisdom, but the things that you have to do to maintain the relationship and to be successful in it, you end up having to pull on and apply a lot of wisdom. Mm-hmm. See what I'm saying? And, the forgotten things and the ancient paths and the ancient melodies or whatever, like, you kind of, it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, I can imagine the older, wiser guy going, yeah, go find her.
Well,
see what I'm saying?
Because you learn a lot of things, not just about relationships,
right,
but you learn a lot of things about yourself and life and patience, or all the different things that go along that you're going to learn that you can use in other areas of your life.
Right.
But if you're dedicated to that relationship, then you're going to learn those things.
It's going to take a lot to drag me away from you. There's nothing more than 100 men could ever do. I love lines like that. I'd take on 100 guys for you. Like, I love that.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I like that.
I'm actually surprised.
Why would that surprise you?
It's not logical.
Well, that's why I like it. It's kind of like, the when you love somebody, you get prone to hyperbole because you're trying to,
Well, I mean, I like stuff like that, but...
Yeah, and I don't think it's necessarily irrational. He's not saying that he's going to fight 100 dudes at once. He's just saying that if 100 dudes were to try to come between him and his lady, he would find a way to get to her. See what I'm saying? So it doesn't necessarily mean... And there's ways to accomplish that, right? There's ways to,
I suppose.
There's ways that people would try to...
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, there'd be 1,000 people... You know what I'm saying? Like, that would, if that were the case with me and you, and I'd find a way to get to you. What?
Which makes me want to cry.
Oh. Yeah, so I like lines like that. It's very sweet. The way of a man with a maiden. Mm-hmm. I bless the rains down in Africa. Gonna take some time to do the things we never had. It says had. I think it's have, though, because this one says have. I wonder, there is kind of like a connection between location and romance and relationships. Like, they're not incidental. It's kind of like, oh, we met here, da-da-da-da, but like the actual place where you actually met someone or in a relationship with someone is actually pretty important. Like, for example, if you were Adam and Eve, mm-hmm, you would always talk about Eden. Right? Like, I'm sure they're sitting around the campfire and talking about, like, what they had in Eden. You see what I'm saying? So, no matter where we end up, I'm pretty sure we're not going to be in Maine in the next, 2 to 5 years. But I think we're always going to have some sort of affinity for this place because this is a place where we met. You see what I'm saying? So, for some reason, there's that confluence between the location of Africa and then his meeting with his lady. And it could be as easy as... He's on the other side of the world, and now he realizes how much he missed her, and blah blah blah. I mean, of course, I would never take a trip like that. I've ensured that I would never take a trip like that away from you.
I had a dream that you were.
Really? What happened?
Mm-hmm. You said, I heard you on the phone, and you were like, yeah, okay, I'll book the flight. I'll be there tomorrow. I'm like, are you serious? He's leaving.
That happened one time.
Well, yeah.
I
Yes.
was chilling with you and I got a call.
Yeah, but it was now.
And I had to spin out
It was in present time.
it's like a week later, right? I was gone.
I don't remember. Those were always stressful.
Well, it's not going to happen anymore.
Good.
Well, you were there, right? And then you were like, what's happening, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
Yeah, but I thought that you were in the other... I thought it was kind of the same similar situation. You got a call and I heard by what you were saying that... Plus your face always changed. Once you knew you were taking a trip. You know, this totally wild story just popped into my head, which probably, you know, the majority of people aren't even going to believe it. But it was actually true. So I knew these people...
Wait, what are you talking...
I think I've told you this story before.
Oh, your story.
Yes.
It's like, what are you doing?
No. I knew these people, and this woman, she was a missionary. It wasn't in Africa. It was in Guatemala. And no offense, but she didn't want an interracial relationship. She really wanted to marry an American man. And she came into this village, and it was raining, and everybody was like wearing ponchos and stuff. And like when
An American man? You mean a white American man?
White American, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she didn't want to marry anybody
Well,
from
I was
Guatemala.
confused.
Yeah, because you're...
American? What does that have to do with interracial? Go ahead.
Yeah, well, when I think American, you know, maybe...
You think white?
I do, babe! Okay, anyway, let's just move past that. So, she said that when she came into the village, that there was this guy that came up on like a donkey, and he like got off and he was like helping somebody like around the fire, and God told her, that's your husband. And she was like, oh, because she figured it was somebody that was like local, you know.
Was he a strapping young lad?
Oh, yeah, he was like a blonde American. Blonde white person! Oh my gosh, I'm doing it again! Anyway, I just thought that was an interesting story. And I don't know, probably because she was coming to him, and this was in Africa, and she was going over there, and they were in Guatemala, and anyway. They're still together. They had a bunch of kids. Their kids have had kids. They have a cute little life.
Okay.
And they put in a lot of work in Guatemala as missionaries.
Wasn't that the ones that they almost died?
Yeah.
That was them, right?
Yeah, that was them.
Shout out to them. Shout out to the big
Yeah,
homies.
they got down there, and there was a lot of guerrilla warfare, and there was all kinds of stuff that was going on, and
That was the 80s?
I don't remember. But
I sat with some OGs.
they thought they were gonna die. He told her.
I sat with some OGs. Like, Central America was no joke.
Yeah.
That was obviously before my time, but they used to sit and tell us, man, like...
Yeah, it was really, really, really bad. But they stayed, like everybody was pulling out. But they stayed. They were like, no, God called us to be here with these people. And so they stayed. And
Yeah.
the villagers didn't understand. They were like, you could leave. You could get out of this situation.
Yeah.
They were like, nope, God called us to be here with you. And so they stayed with their family, their kids.
Yeah.
And anyway, they got called down for something. They had to go down there. And when they got down there, like they thought they were going to die on the way there when they got there. From their village to the location that they had to go to.
This was the 80s, right?
I don't know. I don't know how old they were.
Central America in the 80s was crazy.
He said it's just like, he's like if you die, it's just going to be like passing through a curtain. Like when you go through the curtain, it always makes me emotional when I tell that story. Then he told her like, God's going to be right there. So you just have to pass through that curtain. And so she said she kept thinking about that the whole time that they were headed down there. But then they made it.
Because they were sure they were going to die.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
I don't remember what
Kudos to them.
I don't remember the details of the story. I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, it's insane.
Yeah, bro. I mean, good Lord. Talk about street cred. Mm-hmm. Nobody can question you after that. I don't want to hear it.
No.
You know.
You stay there with your family?
Like, you know, people do things, people would think, oh, wow, Vin, that was really brave, blah, 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 blah. But to go into a situation unarmed, completely convinced that you're going to die, like, that's like, okay, here we go.
And they knew if they got killed, their kids were back at the village.
Whew.
I just don't know if I have enough
Amen.
for that,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah, I mean, you don't until you need it. You get dying grace when it's time to die.
Yeah.
If it's not time to die, then, you know. The wild dogs cry out in the night as they grow restless, longing for some solitary company. I know I must do what's right, as sure as Kilimanjaro rises like Olympus above the Serengeti. Woo!
Who is that? It sounded really cool when they were saying.
It's Mount Kilimanjaro.
Oh, okay.
See what I'm saying? Like Mount Olympus above the Serengeti Desert.
Okay.
That's a good line.
Yep.
It's just a beautiful line. I mean, it's self-evident, but it's a beautiful freaking line. Because you're comparing Kilimanjaro with Mount Olympus, which is where the gods, resided. Which, of course, in every A&E picture of the gods, including the Bible, the gods reside in a mountain. As a matter of fact, Eden is presented as a mountain garden in Isaiah. So if you compare Isaiah and Ezekiel, the Garden of Eden is basically on top of a mountain. So that's a pretty crazy line. I seek to cure what's deep inside, frightened of this thing I've become. It's really interesting, like, nature kind of sometimes does have that effect on you.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's a strange thing where you get in touch with nature. I don't want to sound too hippie, but something about it sometimes makes you want to be a better person. And I'm not really sure why that is, but it's true. Like, something about the surrounding, especially Maine, like, has terrible, disgusting winters and whatever, but there's a couple weeks in Maine when the weather's, like, perfect.
Oh, yeah.
And then you go out there and you're in the woods. I used to go out in the woods a lot. It's here in Florida, and it was just, like, very centering, very important. And I haven't done any real thinking about why that is, but
It's funny because I was just thinking about that last night. I was downstairs and I was cooking and I was thinking, why is it that I don't know the things that I love to do? Like, I don't know. Like, you have all these things that you're like, I like this. You have all these things you enjoy throughout the day. And then I was like, you know what? I really used to enjoy going in my backyard. Well, we don't have a backyard. But that was like...
There's woods over there.
No, I liked the openness, the field, and I could see the sun setting or rising.
Oh, yeah.
You can't see any of that.
No.
And I'm like, I could never survive in, like, New York City.
Mark my words, I will get you a place that has a backyard and a sunrise. 100 dudes won't be able to stop me. Huh? Does this please you? Very good. What do you give the song?
10. It's really good.
It's a classic. There's a metal remix to this song that...
really?
Yeah, I think we're going to do. Maybe bring Zoe along in it. But,
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that we need to do a review with her. I was going through my thumbnails today.
I like this song a lot. A lot. So it's a 10 for me as well. Vin out.
Sorry out.
Gone.